Hey guys, Bluebridge here. So no Maignan and no Gittens. Are the directors a bit of a joke, or are they sensible to be walking away from these deals? Let's get into it. So the deadline for the Club World Cup for transfers is over, and Chelsea have only made one signing, and that's Liam Delap. We were told that we would be trying for Maignan, and we told we'd be trying to get Gittens and a defender, but nothing's materialised. And so, as I said, our two targets towards the end of this mini window are, we failed, and the fans are having a bit of a meltdown. They're calling the club, and they're calling for the heads of the directors of football. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the directors of football, but I think this is a little bit of an overreaction. And I said it because I've had my fair share of criticising them, but in this case, I think that we've done the right thing. I get it. Some people are saying, okay, even though it's 20 million or 25 million for a goalkeeper of his quality, it's still a bargain. But this guy's got 1 year left on his contract. He's already made it clear to Milan that he's not signing another contract. But people want us to bow down to the pressure of Milan and get this player. Okay, is it an area that we need? Yes, and it makes it even worse because I'm hearing now, just before making this video, that Petrovic isn't coming, so we have to rely on Sanchez and Georgeson for the World Club Cup. And it's quite fun actually, the World Club Cup, which a lot of the people who are moaning are the ones who are saying that we shouldn't be taking part in the first place because it's just tiring out the players. And so that makes sense. You don't want to be in this tournament, but you want. So do you want to win it or don't you win it? Don't you want to win it? And the thing is, the transfer window, the official transfer window, it's not even open. This window was only open because of the World Club Cup, but then the window is going to be open again in a few weeks' time, where if we get through the knockout stages, which we should do, because even with the players we've got, even with Sanchez in goal, come on, we've got Washington DC, or not Washington, who is it? Chicago, can't remember. LAFC, I think it is, and we got is it Fluminense? I can't remember who we got in our group, to be honest. But we've got three teams who we should be beating. The hardest is Fluminense from Brazil, but again, should really be beating them, and the other team I said I can't remember where they're from, and that's it. I'm not trying to belittle these other clubs, but we haven't got no big hitters in our group, so we should quite comfortably get through our group stages, and then we can revisit and try and buy some. So there's no rush, and there is what Chelsea are calling the Club World Cup tax, which teams are trying to put on us. Because let's take the Maignan situation. As I said, he's got a year left on his contract. He's made it clear to Milan he's not going to sign. So why are we going to be paying what they asked us for? It makes us look weak in negotiations. So, okay, as I said, it may hurt us now, but in the long run, when we're doing negotiations with clubs, then they know that back in the day they knew that eventually Chelsea will buckle and pay. But if we're saying no, this is a new way we're running things now, we ain't going to bow to your needs anymore. And what does it do? Milan will probably blink first. I don't know whether we're going to go for him again towards the end of the window. Hope we do, especially if Sanchez has a nightmare. But if we go for him towards the end of the proper window, which ends in August, then we may get him for a better fee, especially if he makes it clear that he's not going to be signing a new contract for Milan. Because Milan, they haven't got money, they're broke. So would they prefer to let him run down his contract? I think he can call their bluff. And because if by the end of the window, if he doesn't sign for another club, then in January he's free to sign a pre-contract, and and AC Milan get nada. So I think towards the end of the window, don't be surprised if we go in for him again and get him at the price we wanted him originally, about £11 million, which is fair for a guy who's a year left on his contract. And going back to Milan, Milan fleeced us when with the same thing with Pulisic, a younger player, and they left 20 million euro, I think it was, or 18 million pounds. That's all we got for him. Loftus-Cheek, was it £4 or £5 million? £2 million for Giroud. Tomori, he was sold for peanuts. So come on now. So when we are selling them players, they want to get them at the cheapest price possible. But when we want to buy a player with a year left on his contract, they want to maximise the deal. And Milan's got to be careful, because if the relationships between the two clubs get soured, then they are going to be the ones who lose out. Because if you look at the Milan side, that's like Chelsea B side, because at least half that squad were bought from Chelsea or used to play for Chelsea. And if you look in the last few years, the amount of players that they've bought from us, either permanent or on a loan fee. Again, we've bought players with a loan with an option. They haven't taken up that option. There's been more business. I don't think we've got anyone coming our way from Milan. That's the first time I think we wanted someone coming from Milan in years. And most of the transaction is players going from Chelsea to Milan, and they've got to remember that. So if I was Chelsea, I'm playing hardball with Milan next time we come into negotiations, so I wouldn't even deal with that club anymore. So they're going to feel it more than us. So, and as I said, I'm disappointed that we didn't get him. I'm not saying I'm not disappointed, because I'd have liked to have a decent goalkeeper behind the stick, especially going into the new season. But I said in my video the other day, we just can't just bow down to the needs of people. We've got to appear to be strong in the market, and I commend them for being strong. Same with Gittens. 1 minute Dortmund asked for a price, then they up the price, and then they're playing silly. So we walked away from that deal as well. May revisit that one as the summer goes on as well. So another one where we weren't going to be taken for a ride for a team. Maybe with that one slightly different, because remember with when we loaned them Matson last year, and we gave them a fee, and they tried to haggle us down on the fee, but that was a fee that we had given them if they wanted to buy him. And we've loaned them Chukwuemeka as well, so we do loan them a lot of players. So again, they got to be careful about it, because they don't want relationships to be soured with us, because we've got a lot of players who can be of benefit to Dortmund, and we've got some kids there as well. They like to take a young player, so we've got good academy players, so they need to be careful. So again, as I said, I'd like to left-sided player, but again, I don't want to be held to ransom. So for me, another good situation. But they because of what they did, they're not off the hook yet, because as I said, we've got after the Club World Cup, which I don't think we're going to win anyway, even we had those couple of players. We got this window to be serious in the market if we're going to be wanting to compete in the league and Champions League. We've made Champions League football now. We've got to go out and get 2 or 3 good players. So we don't want no faffing around. Manchester City have gone out. They've done their business really quickly, swiftly, and they've got their players at a good price. And it was interesting hearing their the chairman talk, where he said they have 2 or 3 players for every position. So that way, if the other team are playing hardball, they say, look, thank you, goodbye, we're going to move on to our next target. So do we have that at Chelsea? Do we have 2 or 3 people lined up? So if someone doesn't, if someone's not playing ball, then we've got another player who's just as good in that position. And that's the sort of things that we need to be doing in the transfer market. We got to be moving like that. So as I said, I'm not off the hook. I'll see how this window goes before I judge them again. You know, they've had 3 or 4 windows, not being a fan of them, but in this case, I'm not going to be critical. And we've got a lot of spoiled people in our fan base that just criticise for everything. But again, as I said, I don't mind, because we need to, you know, show Milan that, you know, we just, they can't treat us like sort of their little toy where they can just extract as much money as they can out of us and then expect us to give them our players for peanuts. It doesn't work like that. This is business, guys. And then the same people who are going to be moaning about that are the people who, if we overspend, because it's not as easy as, oh, just give them what they want or whatever. If we overspend and we're not in the Champions League next season because FIFA have either deducted us points, like I mentioned in my last video, or even ban us from playing in Europe if we fail to meet financial fair play, those are the same ones that are going to be the biggest moaners about how a joke this board is and stuff. We are not Roman Abramovich era. We have to think differently now, and we are, well, no, everyone has to think different, because even Newcastle, who've got the richest owners, they are under constraints for financial fair play. We've seen Villa have to sell players because they didn't make the Champions League, so we don't want to be on that tightrope. So there's a balance now. So you've got to be sensible when it comes to balancing the books. Well, let me know what you think. Do you think we should have just paid the money, or do you think the sporting directors were right in walking away from the deals and maybe revisiting them a bit later? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you're notified when I make a new video. So take care. Bye bye.